Tiny Tarot, hey, hey, what have you got to say today? I am Low-Key Magical with a K, aka Christina Smart, and I am here with the podcast master, Earl. Earl, how are you today?
I'm fine. How are you today?
I am doing very well. Earl is with Toy Robot Productions. Toy Robot Productions is responsible for producing the Tiny Tarot podcast. So we are always so happy to have Earl here. Thank you so much. Also, if you are looking for where can I find more of you, Low-Key Magical, where can I find more Tiny Tarot? Well, we are on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, and sometimes on TikTok. And if you would like a personalized read, they are available from me. My schedule is a little tight because those are starting to fill up, but I am still available for personalized reads. So if you would like to book one, you can reach out to me on Facebook Messenger and just let me know. Let me know that you are available. We will work that out. Now, also, here's something that's wonderful. We've been set up on our YouTube station and also on my little reads on Facebook to receive donations. So if you have already donated, that's fantastic. And if you would like to, just look at the information underneath this podcast or on our main page, and you will find that information there. We appreciate that so much. And then one more thing, this is the legal stuff. Please remember that a tarot read is not a substitute for therapy. It is more like a really nice, deep conversation with a good friend. And in Tiny Tarot's case, it's that friend that's not afraid to say the hard stuff. Like, girl, you need to get up and take a shower. Like that. Tiny Tarot will just be really blunt sometimes. And that's what we like about Tiny Tarot. All right, so we want to get right into it today. And this is one of those subjects that I always approach carefully, and people go, well, that's interesting because you call yourself like spiritualist and energy worker. Why are you being careful about this? Because what we're talking about today is people that have had the experience of having a loved one pass on. If you've experienced death in your life and you feel that there's a bit of a loss there and you want to find a closer connection with the person that has passed on, that's what we're talking about today. And why do I say that I'm careful with that? I'm going to be straightforward because I share my process with you so that you understand how I come to the table. But I've been working with tarot for quite a while, and I understood the power of the messages that I received. And one of the things that made me hesitant to want to hang my shingle out and do this professionally is that I understand the depth of it. Like, I don't have any misconception about the power of what we're accessing. But it goes beyond that. It's like, oh, I'm scared of what no, it's not that at all. It's the power of the emotions and the depth of the wounds of the people that you're working with that are looking for those answers. That's the difficult part of this. So as soon as I have someone approach me that says, I have a loved one that's passed on, and I would like to either figure out how I can get closer to them or get some answers from them or some messages from them. The first thing that comes to me is not, oh, your grandpa left the treasure in the barn. It's not like that. What I get is this overwhelming feeling of, please remember and tread lightly where you are about to go, because this is a wounded heart that must be respected. That is the first message that I always get anytime, even when they're booking the tarot read and they let me know, well, I have the loved one that's passed on. Immediately I get that feeling. And that's what that's one of the things that frightened me when I first came to tarot is, what if I have people with real serious questions and like real feelings and well, that's what tarot is for. I mean, it's fun to use it as a, kind of a party trick and gossipy and cute and, it makes everybody giggle and that's great. But the reason that we have these tools, and if you are good at a particular tool that you use, then you may be asked to use that tool in the best way possible. So I am someone that's really good with this tool, and therefore sometimes I get the hard questions, but always, it's been so consistent. Always the messages are that you are closer than you realize. And we're going to let tarot get into that because I feel like I have a lot from my experience with working with people that are in grief and that are coming to a place where they kind of want to reconnect. And so I have touched on that many times, specifically on that individual person in the read. But for this particular read, what I'm asking Tiny Tarot is just to kind of shed some light on that for us, to help us understand that we're not as far from our passed on loved ones as we perceive it, and that how can we make that easier on ourselves? How can we make it better? How can we make it something that we don't I really wish I could have an experience, or I really wish I could receive some insight, or I really wish I could feel the presence. Like, how can we get to that place where it doesn't feel like it's efforting? Ooh, I like that. So this one, Tiny Tarot, hey, how do we experience and feel closer to our passed on loved ones today? How do we make that feel better? Does that sound like a good question, Earl? I mean, that's pretty, I try to hone our questions as much as possible. And I feel like that one's pretty clear. You think so?
Yeah,
not a lot of gray area there. I mean, obviously there's gray area. We don't really understand a lot about. Obviously, that's the one place that we don't get to peek past that curtain. Maybe just little peeks, but we don't get to really know until we're having. And you're scared of it, and
I'm actually scared of it.
Yeah, so I think this is a good topic to cover. It doesn't obviously it's woo woo because it's in that territory, but we're starting to realize that what we are calling woo woo right now could just be technology that we don't quite understand. So in the past, things that we used to call woo-woo, right? We figured out, oh, those are germs, things like that. So not a big deal. Yeah, it's not. So now that we're kind of getting to the place where we are consciousness explorers, and we know that consciousness leaves the body at a certain time, but those of us that are spiritually connected knows it's not being destroyed. It's simply changing form. So how do I access my loved one in this new form? That's really what we're getting at today. So Earl, with that question in mind, please intuitively choose stack 1, 2, or 3.
3.
Oh, 3 today. All right, here we go. Tiny Tarot gets us right out of the gate with a 4 of Pentacles, and it actually initially came out in reverse, but I want to talk about what the 4 of Pentacles represents. And that is the person in this artwork has enough. If you look, it's pretty balanced. There's a pentacle on the head, a pentacle being held, a pentacle under each foot. So all needs in this are being met. And the pentacles represent the earth, energy of the earth. Now we say money, like if you're doing a read about money, oh, these are the coins. You can see it, it's coins. But it's really the material experience. It's what we do our work to achieve. It's the comfort that you foster in your home. And in this sense, I kind of want to say it's the experience of being here. So there's non-physical and then there's physical. So the earth energy is going to represent that physical. And I will say that as the messages come through, sometimes I clear my throat, and that's just Tiny Tarot reminding me to relax into the message. Again, this feels like like I'm giving you an important thing, and I need to relax in that. These are just questions being answered, so it's all going to be all right. But the 4 of Pentacles, if you look at that, this person is really holding on to that. It's if it was about money, it would be having enough, but feeling like you have barely enough. Like if one of these pentacles is moved, I'm not going to feel comfortable. So the first thing that I feel this is talking about is about the physical experience. Like we have a very, and it's been to keep ourselves from feeling anxiety as kind of a species. We have a very specific view of how we like to see this material experience, that it begins when we're born and it's over when we die and then it's gone. And anytime something big like this happens where you have a loved one leave, it's like having one of those pentacles kind of yanked out from under you. It doesn't feel stable anymore. I had this lovely view of how my life was going and what the physical experience is, and now suddenly it's different than what I thought, and I'm having to face some things that I didn't really, obviously the absence of my loved one, obviously the feeling that they're not here anymore, and the grief that we go through naturally. But because of that limiting view, that limiting material experience that we've had up to this point, this opens up some scary things for us. It's questions. It's questions about, what about when I get to this point? What's going to happen to the people that I leave behind? And what's going to happen to me once I cross over? These are questions that we, not only are you saying like, I don't have an answer to, but you can read every book and you can talk to every person, and they're all going to give you a different facet. It's going to be their take, even if it is to them in black and white. I did this, I believed this, I followed this, so when I go, it's going to be exactly this. And if you're wondering where your loved one is, they're exactly there. Well, that's all fine and good for you, but isn't that what put you into this? Isn't that the structure that you kind of put around yourself to make you feel safe about it. That doesn't mean it's necessarily exactly how it's going. From our viewpoint, that's what we've put around us in order to say, okay, well, this helps it make sense. I've made some prep. I've made my spiritual prep. I'm going to, as best as I can for when I cross over. But we're really compartmentalizing when we do that. It's like there's just this, there was no existence. And then there was when I came out of my mom's womb and all that's fuzzy. And then I had all of this experience. And now I'm noticing people in my life are starting to exit. And I don't know how close I am to my exit. And this is starting to give me a lot of anxiety. So not only do we have the whole absence of my loved one has thrown me off of this beautiful balance. Okay. But also it's starting to make me question this whole material reality that I thought I had built a really nice I thought I had a really nice foundation going. And now I'm like, oh, wait, this could end? Oh, wait, this could. All right. Now, again, it's because we've been taught that. And when we look into what we're starting to understand now, that this energy doesn't die. This is just a continuation of experience, but a change in the type of experience, a radical change in the type of experience. Then that loosens that up a little bit for us. Like, oh, okay. This isn't really an ending. This isn't really the end of something that I'm coming to. It's a transition period. We understand that. And then there's all different kind of spiritual beliefs around that. And again, puts us in a little box. Have I done the right thing? Did I believe in the right deity? Did I wear the right pants? Or whatever odd thing that you've set up as a structure in your mind that you keep pushing forward because that's not going to happen to you. Until you're suddenly faced with it. You're faced with that loved one that passes. You're faced with that someone that made a decision that you really didn't agree with and decided to end their life early. So, we have so much struggle with understanding that because that's not the box that we've put reality into. And again, for survival of species, we couldn't teach each other that it was okay to end our own lives early because that's not good for the species. So how do we even wrap our minds around that, about understanding a loved one that may have made a decision that we don't know why and may not get to know why they made that decision for quite some time. This is that feeling of I've just got everything precariously balanced to make myself feel comfortable. But man, if one of these slips out of place, I'm going to be uncomfortable. And so remember that this came out in reverse. And so what does that say? That says, baby, you got to spread that box out a little bit. You've got to take what you had considered your comfort box and allow that to expand. If you really do want to take a step into, all right, so up to this point, we have been a species that, from our understanding, socially, religiously, whatever else, that there is an ending and that we are not allowed to, we can only speculate on or believe what someone else has told us about this other side. Okay? Good luck. You'll figure it out when you die. And now we're realizing that's not the case at all. We've got people that are becoming like consciousness astronauts. We have people that we're talking to shaman now, we're understanding better about native spiritual beliefs, and we have people that are working within psychedelics and realizing how healing it is to be able to remove yourself from this consciousness box and really look at things from a different perspective. And if anything, the first message I get is that understand this death transition just takes your consciousness to a different perspective. But from this perspective, that appears radical. It appears like obviously, the body has died. But in order for this consciousness to get to the next, to pass through this sieve, nothing of the physical can remain. Exactly. So we're starting to understand that that's not an ending. It is a continuation of experience. Now that we know that, how do we explore that? How do we work with it? How do we get access? Remember all that ancestor work that people would talk about? And as a little white Christian high school girl, I'd be like, well, I don't understand all that. They like to worship their old dead grandparents. And that's so disrespectful now that I think back at that. Now that I understand what ancestor work is. And now that I know my own ancestors are sitting there going, girl, just wait. Girl, just wait till you figure all this out. You have all of this at your disposal. But because you've kept yourself in this little box, which that's what we're doing here when we ask these questions, when we have these long-form conversations where we really dig in to why we believe the things we believe and just let some extra questions come up, that puts us in a much better place. Instead of that stingy, this is an end, I only have so much experience to work with, right? And I'm sad because someone that I was enjoying this experience with has left me or left me early. Ugh. Now we can say, all right, let's think about this a little bit differently. How can I change? How can I change this experience? Oh gosh, and that's the Knight of Swords. Whew, that is all about that fast moving. Okay, so I'm getting a lot with this because first, the swords are our thoughts and our words. So obviously, how we think about this and how we talk about it is so important to what gets reinforced up here or what opens new doors for us up here. And the night is a fast moving energy. So I also get the image of understand that once someone has left the physical, whew, that is quick. They are no longer, all right, so imagine that you pass through a sieve and everything that is physical of you has to be filtered away in order for you to go into this, to step through this doorway, to go into this next perceptive level of existence, okay? You do become very fast moving at that point. But you've also, why are you so fast moving? You've shed everything that's physical. Physical limitations, all right? Physical disabilities. Physical strengths, though, also. You've had to shed everything that is physical. Now, what are a lot of our ideas, belief systems, and habits, behavior towards others? Those are all synaptic connections that have been made over time based on experience, decisions, and things that you were trying to do to make yourself feel better. Let's be honest. I know how to calm this person down when they start getting, so you get into a habit. I know that I need to do this to keep mom happy so that she doesn't get upset with me. So you get in the habit of making your bed just so so-and-so gets off your back. Well, those are physical neural connections that are made. So regrets, memories, bad memories that you don't like, that are stored in there, that don't seem to want to leave, right? Negative habits, grudges, those are all physical, okay? So guess what? When you go through that sieve, guess what doesn't get taken with you? All that bullshit. So no wonder this night is so fast moving, because the energy that is passed over now has the awareness, has the lessons, has all of that good stuff, but has shed all of the bad habits and grudges and regrets and obligations, right? All of that stuff is gone now. So part of this is saying, if you are really trying to tune into someone and you have really honed in on physical attributes, habits of theirs, personality traits that were developed in them over time, at this point when they've passed, it's like they've gone through a bit of a Brita filter. That's what I'm saying. They've gone through a bit of a Brita filter. So if you are hung up on, oh, they had some problems as they left, and I don't think those problems ever got solved, and I just don't know if they're going to have peace. Whew, that peace is achieved. That stuff, just like stuff in a closet, big heavy coat, that's been shed off. And the energy that I get always when I tune into those that have passed is that youthful, and this always kind of makes my heart feel so good. I have a grandson who's about 4 years old, and he has nothing but questions and love and light, and he just accepts that everyone loves him. Like, why would you not? Because he's so awesome, right? And he's getting at that 4-year-old age where he's realizing that there are rules that make no sense to him. Like, he's just got no use for rules. Everything that I've received in reads is that the energy that you're now dealing with your passed on loved one is like that 4-year-old. There's not worry about the future. There's not regret of the past. There's nothing but, this is exciting. I want to see what's going to happen next. I love you. I know you love me. I got no question about any of that. And so tuning into them is less about focusing on whatever the problem, negativity, baggage, or any illnesses, physical problems. Even if you had tangles with that, like, oh, it was so difficult. I was such a difficult person to me. And now how do I reconcile that now that they've passed? Because I feel like I never got to tell them. I never got to tell them I was sorry. I never got to. don't worry about that now. That's the 4-year-old, the beautiful, ready to explore, nothing but pure love, no worries about what was back on the planet, because that's really not the issue right now. And then again, and I'm going to pull the next card too, because I feel like this will probably have something to do with it. And that's that 7 of Pentacles there. It's not so much that we tend to look at our physical experience as negative when we start looking at that, okay? And we say, gosh, it must be so much better. It must be so much, gosh, if only I could experience that heavenliness, okay? And there's a little bit of jealousy, and jealousy's not the right word. There's a reason why we came to this planet to have this experience in the first place. So let's take a closer look at the 7 of Pentacles, how that relates to that. When energy crosses over, it's in a very different perspective than it is now. That includes, and this is where I think this ties in here, that includes the perspective of time. We are so locked in to existing within, and we always have that thought in our head about time, about we only have so much time in a day, time in a month, time in a year, time in our lifetime, time, memories of my past. Oh, I'm worried about my future, time. And when someone has crossed over, when that energy of that person, when that point of consciousness has crossed over, time is no longer the same. And it's so difficult to explain this when you start thinking about it, because we are so entangled within time. Okay, so here's the way that I see it, where we look at our life as like beginning, middle, end. It's almost like frames in a movie, correct? And you know how you can go in, and even though the movie was shot in a certain order, you can edit it to appear complete. Yes? Okay, so now you have this long series of images that create a story. And your life is like that. You have a long series of experiences and memories that create the story from the beginning until the end. But when you're removed from time, it's almost as if you can see all the stacks of movies at the same time, like you're in the video store and you're saying, oh, okay, I remember this one. Yeah, there's that one. Yes, there's this one, because your perspective is very different. You're not so concerned about watching the entire film anymore. You're more about, it's kind of like a snow globe. Like you can shake up all those experiences. And now, because you're removed from time, you can see, again, I'm trying to use metaphor here, you can see those spots sparkle up that resonate with you. So let's say that you are really concerned that your loved one has passed over and you're really tight about it and you're not here, okay? Well, that's not really resonating with the energy of I'm timeless, I'm relaxed, I have a full perspective, I'm accessible to you anytime you need me, please light up so that I can find you. Like you're not in that moment that you're clamped down and feeling the absence, you are not resonating with full presence. But when you can find those moments, and how I talk to people about finding those moments, are being in nature, taking a walk, learning how to meditate, not in the way that, oh, I got to clear my mind, but just so you can get all those apps closed in the background so that your attention is no longer super hyper-focused on the moment. You can relax and kind of allow your presence experience to expand out from just what you're experiencing out of these two eyes, okay? And when we get to that place, my understanding is those little sparkly moments of time become very evident to those that are on the other side that have passed on. And they can access us easily there. And they're not limited by, okay, well, it has to be at this time and it has to be here, like, or where you are. Like none of that. It's that, what are you resonating with in the moment? And they can find every one of those little resonant moments. So especially being able to remember that person when they were young or when they were really happy, when you guys were really, really connected in a moment. Ooh, especially those little shared moments. Those are going to light up really nice. And then you can resonate more with that. And guess what? It's a practice. I don't think that this is something that necessarily in our day and age comes easily to us. We become so hyper focused on the distractions that are around us. Now, the first when you say distractions, you're gonna be like, oh, it's because I look at my phone too much. It's because, well, let's just really talk about the level of things that demand our attention today versus when people were living on homesteads, when people were living in tribes, when people were living off the land. That's a very different level of right? When you compare hours of solitude being the daily norm, lots of time to be in your own head, lots of time to be more in tune with your surroundings, lots of time to think about past loved ones and really tune into that. So we look at old stories as like fairy tales. We look at, oh, people were wandering in the woods and, spirit showed up and that's a bunch of crap. But, that just doesn't happen. Well, maybe it did when we did not have the structure around ourselves that limited us from that experience. Your ancestors guiding you in every step could be a very real, very right now experience when you're not constantly distracted with problem and demand and demand and problem and problem and demand and future and past and problem and demand, right? Regardless of the rest of it. Oh, my phone and oh, my TV and oh, my job and just the fact that we are so focused on the things, like we wake up. What is your first thought every morning? Let's start thinking about that. What is the first thought that pops into your head every morning? Because if it goes along the lines of, oh my God, I have to do this again. Whew, you are not in the space to be accessing, right? And that takes some work. That's all it's saying. It's not saying that this is inaccessible to you, and none of this is a scold, and none of this is saying, oh, we have to go back to the way that things were. This is what evolving is. Okay? So we're learning about what we may have discarded in the past and called BS because we didn't understand what they were saying, because their experience is so radically different. Their day-to-day is so, and I'm saying about our past, like our spiritual records, like everything that we've tried to pass along to ourselves about what this is that we're living in as people. We found some commonalities in those, right? But we're realizing that just even trying to understand them from our context, from our point of life, we've been way off on a lot of things because we've been trying to apply our modern day box, right, to a set of things that will not be put in a box, baby. Guess what? The rest of creation that isn't this is a lot. I'm sorry, Tiny Taros. It's going, bitch, you nailed that. I hate to tell you this, but the rest of creation that's not where you guys are, it's really a lot. You may think that's making my dogs bark. That's awesome. Where you are, you may think that that's like everything and all that and huge and everything, but like everything else, when you think of all of creation, the universe, there's a lot more going on than you. Okay, so that's a good one. I do like that. So if you're super duper in a box and you think that you've got it all figured out, hey, guess what you don't? Oh, that's adorable. That is so adorable. I hope that the energy of that really got conveyed, because that felt like such a huge spiritual download of just like understand that where you are is like such a tiny piece. Now, does that mean that it's not important? Absolutely not. That's one of those weird things that we've gotten flipped around as we come into the physical. A lot of the ideas that we have are kind of an inversion. I've been using the inversion a lot because it's been coming up a lot in the energy of what we've been trying to convey and learn. We have a lot of ideas really turned around. We think that this physical experience, I'm coming back to that, guys, trust me. We think this physical experience is almost a punishment and we can't wait to get away from it. All right, let's flip that around. This physical experience is a reward, baby. This physical experience is what you have been working for. Now, I can't say from like non-physical, this sounds stupid. It takes a lot or it's hard. It is a incredibly complex process for an individual point of consciousness to make the decision to have a physical experience and then pinpoint the date and the parents and the DNA and all that fun stuff. And then, you pop out and you have this experience. In my white trash language, that shit's hard. Like, that's hard, guys. That's really hard. And of course, for the universe, all of the, it's like all of this stuff, we're not having to deal with time or not having to deal with those sort of things. So, of course, a point of consciousness can make the decision to do that. The exit's a little quicker. The exit is not nearly as complicated as getting the entrance just right. So, yes, this experience is coveted. This experience, again, I don't want to use like the word jealousy, but this is like the e-ticket ride. Is that what they used to call it at Disney World? The really, really good rides cost a little more. You fought to get here. I don't even know how else to give you that energy, but you fought to get here. There was a lot of work. There was a team assisting you in getting here, and your ancestors and the ones that have passed on are part of that team. Just because they're not here for you to send an email to doesn't mean that you don't have access to it. We are starting to be able to gather the knowledge that we have from the past. We're beginning to reframe it because now we understand that they were not having the same experience that we are having now. Absolutely not. Language was different. Customs were different. Interface with the world was different. It was way more direct. It was a direct earth interface. And now we have put layers and layers and layers and layers and layers and layers and layers of stuff between us and that. And if you're someone that gets to, go on alone, that show where they drop someone off and they're alone, and a big part of it is survival, but a big part of it is that they realize that they're alone up here now. And some of them can't get through that. Some of them can't get through even just a little while of that. That's the way we used to live all the time, was that connected. So how different are we now that it's become a game show to do what everybody used to do? So obviously, some of our boxes have been a little wrong, okay? But what we have is some fast-moving, eager, happy, just raring to go energy that is ready for us to access and is powerful. Your loved ones, even if you, and this has been something else that I've come to this with, even if you weren't in a good place with that person when they passed, that really doesn't matter. They're still working in your favor. And that's such a great thing. When I hear people talk about angels and guides and multidimensional, whatever, however you want to view that, in order for any individual to be here now on this earth, they had to have set of parents, how many sets of grandparents, how many sets of great-grandparents, and further back, and that tree gets bigger and wider as you go. You take time out of that and think of all those points of consciousness currently existing and ready to support you, ready to work in your favor, even those you don't know, right? I know my grandson, if something happened to me tomorrow, he's 4. The only memories he'll have of me are pictures and some fuzzy memories, right? But I'll be on the other side rooting him on, because this love that I have for that little 4-year-old isn't going anywhere. I know that when I pass over, the love that I have for the people in existence right now is going to be just as pure, just as clean, just as strong. He may be growing up and not even remember me. Won't matter. I'll be in the cheering section. Woo, I'm ready. Woo. And then when I go, oh my God, I have all of that for me. I have all of that from the people that I don't even know, like aunts and uncles and whoever. Everyone that had to fight to stay alive and raise some kids and keep the line going. Every one of them is back there going, yay. So, of course, the ones, see, here's the advantage. Ooh, I'm starting to see something here, Tiny Tarot. Here's the advantage when we're trying to put the best and most positive understanding spin that we can on this. The advantage to having someone pass who is very close to you is now you have an image, you have memories, you have that physical relationship as like an umbilical cord that gives you direct connection to that person on the other side. So where you have a cheering section, now you've got a team member. Oh, okay, that's different. Because yes, you've got a cheering section that will give you info and yell the plays and help you out. But now you also have someone that you've got a little deeper connection to, that should you choose, should you put some commitment into that, should you understand that you're not going to understand everything, that you're not going to get all the answers to all the questions, but that you can have a deeper, more fulfilling connection with someone who's got a different perspective than you. Goodness sakes. And why are we doing this all the time? To help our lives feel better, to ease a little pain, to help ourselves make better decisions. Now we've got not only a cheering section, but we've got true loving guidance that we can connect to at any time, and know that guidance is working in your best favor. Like that's all it can be. That's all that it can be. Oh, and then we have a Four of Swords. It sets a nice new foundation on so many levels. I'm seeing it individually, for those that you care about that are still in your life right now, the way that you the way that you prepare for your own passing, and the way that you talk to your loved ones. Should that, again, these are conversations that we don't even like to have. We don't like to talk about preparing for death until you get a certain age, and then all of these things show up in the mail about you need to buy a burial plot, and all of a sudden you're allowed to think of it once you get 64. I guess now you're legally allowed to start planning for death. Now you're start buying insurance, start planning for all this stuff. But again, someone's making money off of that. So what's the deal? We don't really talk about death until it's profitable to someone. That's that little box that we put ourselves in, ladies and gents, and that's what it's so different from that. You would be astonished. Again, this world is just a very small part of all of it. I can't believe I laughed that hard. That was so good. But look at this new foundation that we're putting down. This is work. These are the wands. So it's the work that we do in the world, but this is a very stable foundation for a happy future and more fruitful effort moving forward. So what does that look like? Well, that looks like, first of all, a better feeling in my heart that my loved one isn't truly absent. Their physical presence may not be here, but that doesn't mean I can't access them. It just means that it's going to take a little more work on my part. And sometimes that means maybe disagreeing with some of the people around me, like, you got to quit imagining that he's here because that's weird. And, we don't believe that. The low-key magical part of my name is because sometimes you don't have to share these beliefs with other people if you feel like they're going to give you a lot of pushback. Well, you know what? He's not present when you're here anyway, Barb, or whoever you're talking to. He's really only present when I am meditating and having a peaceful heart, and you're not making me real peaceful right now. So how about you go? Because you're here physically, and I don't want you here either. You don't have to be like that. But you understand what I'm saying. This is times when you're alone and in your heart, and you are fostering that peace. And whether you share that with others, that's great. And should you choose to, it sets up a good foundation for the people around you. Because I'll tell you, my kids and I have already made plans that when mom passes, I am... I'm the Yoda for the kids. I'm going to be there for them. I'm going to back them up. They better know it. And Becca's been like, you better haunt me, because that's... And it's okay to talk about these things and say, look, I am making plans for when I pass, because I want to continue my connection with you. And I want you to know that I'm just going to be my best self, and I'm going to be timeless, and I'm going to be rooting you on, and I'm going to be there for you when you need me. I can go ahead and plan that now, right? And that sets up a great foundation for them, because that doesn't mean it won't be traumatic and sad and that they won't go through grief. Absolutely, those are natural processes. But what after that? Does that mean that your only memory of mom is grief? I don't want that. And your loved ones that have passed do not want that for you either. Regardless of the exit, back up from that, right? Find the sparkles. And focus on those sparkles, because those sparkles are where you're going to draw that vibration of where they are now, right? Ah, that feels so good. And practicing that again doesn't just soothe your own heart, it soothes those around you. And can you get to a place where you can have comfortable conversations with others about your own passing and about how you feel about these things? Oh, then absolutely. And then we have the judgment card. I don't know why I'm laughing at this, but this is, I want to say there's a couple of things in here. There's the fear of being judged by others. There's the fear of, what are they going to say? Because I'll be honest with you, with my grandmother, when my grandpa passed, my grandma was feeling him often. She was doing very well. They were very close. And she was saying, I feel John's presence all the time. And she had some people in her church saying, you have got to stop saying that because you know where he is. He's in heaven. He's not with you. So stop it. And that made her feel really bad. It made me feel bad. I wanted to go, really? How dare you tell my grandma not to feel my grandfather's presence? It's not your business. So part of that is maybe I'm feeling differently than the rest of my family is about this. Maybe my family's very deeply and, this is where he is and this is what's going on. But I'm feeling that I'm connected and that I'm, with him. If it means that you just don't talk about it, that's fine. That's totally up to you. If you're fearing a little judgment on that, that's fine. Here's the other one, though, because I grew up in a very strict Christian structure for a long time. What about this whole heaven-hell thing? What if on the way out they did something that, according to my belief structure, they're not in a really good place right now? Well, again, that's your belief structure, baby. The universe is a much bigger place than whether or not you have judged someone to be in a good place or not. Like, I don't even, all of the metaphors that come up, I'm like, I don't know if I want to use that one. Again, all of this has been based on speculation and information that we have received that's been filtered through years of, we don't really need to pass that on. A lot of the information's been destroyed. A lot of it has been misinterpreted. And I know through my personal experience, the most intense hell I could ever go through is right up here, right up here. I can make every day a hell, should I choose to, right? And I also know that I've had children, and I love these children. Oh my gosh, I love my children and my grandkids so much it hurts me. It's like debilitating. And according to all scripture I ever received, God loves me as one of his children, correct? Could you ever, no matter what your kids did, even if they turned out to be the worst human being on the planet, insert whoever is your worst human being there, could you ever want their soul to suffer eternally in burning hell? Ever? And if God's love is even just a slice of that for me, then I know that the hell is what I put myself through, should I choose to deny who I really am and here. Now, you take your belief system, you spread that whatever you want to on there, but don't worry about this eternal judgment thing. This is one of those inversions that we have been fed over time. Baby, the judgment doesn't come when you leave. The judgment was applied before you got here. If you weren't good enough to be here, you wouldn't be. What? You made it this far into the physical, baby. You already passed the judgment. This is the reward. Yay. At most, your exit is a review. At most, your exit is like a party. Woo, woo, woo. Whew, that feels like a big one from Tiny Tarot right there. One of the inversions that we come into this life with is that somehow this is a punishment. Somehow we were dirty. Somehow we sinned, or we wouldn't have been cast into this. Flip it, baby. Flip it. You were amazing, or you wouldn't be here. You passed some things. You did or you were the strong sperm. Like, however you want to say that, however you want to come across that. There were a lot of things that had to go right for you to be here. And so you are just nothing but a summation of rights. Oh, how can that be wrong? These messages. Tiny Tarot is supposed to be all sassy and cute, but all right, well, all right. And this may change some things for you. Tower card, of course, we end on the Tower card. Tiny Tarot, that was her little sassy smack right there. She's like, really? You want to talk some shit? I'll just give you the Tower to end on it. All right. So the Tower is about What have you built on a strong foundation? And what have you built on a weak foundation? Because a moment like someone passing over, it tests all of your foundations. Where do you want to be when that happens to you? Like, you can even decide this ahead of time. I've got family members that are elderly. I know that the experiences that I've had are not going to be the last ones. The experience that I've had with loved ones passing over, it's not going to be the last time that happens to me. I want to set up a good, solid foundation going forward with where my beliefs are. Like, obviously, with my relationships with my loved ones, surely. But on the other end of that, where do I want my belief system to be? Do I want to feel like I was born into something inflexible and unchanging? I was told that there was a judgment at the end of this experience. And that, first of all, being here was kind of not a reward, baby. This is much more of a punishment. Oh, no. So that's bad. By the way, you're trash. Oh, no. And the only way you're going to get out of it is to die, but you're not allowed to take yourself out. So please don't do that, because, you've got work to do. And then at the end of it, good luck, because if you did the right thing, then you'll go somewhere great. And if you did the wrong thing, you'll just either have to do it all over again. Even reincarnation starts to sound like a punishment at that point. You'll just have to take the class over and over again until you get it right. And we've flipped that around, is what we've basically done. Being here is the reward. Wouldn't that be a great way to reframe things? Again, it doesn't have to knock down everything that you've ever believed in. None of this information has to even be taken to heart. You know what? You can turn this off. You can just go, well, this is where she got crazy. I'll watch the next one that's about puppies or whatever. And that's okay. I completely understand that. But if you really got questions and you really want to keep digging, do so. It's okay to ask questions. If you want to feel safe, do it all within love and light. Everything that I'm doing is with the energy of just asking questions, being a student, working within love and light. Everything that wants to come and support my continued learning that falls within the realm of love and light and being in my best interest is welcome to assist me. And I'll do the best I can to get in the frequency of relaxed, undistracted, resonating within love and light, resonating within knowing, resonating within that little 4-year-old that's just there to explore and understands already that everybody loves him. Because why not? When I'm hungry, I'm fed. When I'm tired, I sleep. When I need someone, they're right there. Of course, it's always like that. And if that changes things for you in a radical way, that can be good. The tower can be a really positive thing. But the tower just gives you that warning. It says, check your foundations. Check what's important to you. Don't be putting the really important stuff at the top of a tower that is rickety at the bottom. What are you doing? It's like having your credit cards already full and you're like, I'm just going to go apply for another credit card. Whoa. You need to take care of what's at the bottom of this. You need to take care of what's going on with your finances. You really need to, the tower says, really explore what you feel is shaky. If you've come across this reading and you're like, wow, you know what, this challenges a few things for me, explore what you feel was shaken. Because if you want that to be stronger, then find the info that shores it up for you. But if you realize there are some holes, that's completely okay. Death will be your experience eventually. Like, I don't even know how to say that. It comes for us all. Like, that is, you can't, that's the one thing we have such a huge question mark on. And yet it's one thing that we know we are all going to experience. How do you soften that? How do you learn more about that? Well, I don't know about you, but the only people that I can ask are those that have been through it. Well, where are they? On the other side? Well, how do I get to that? Well, thanks, Tiny Tarot. This is how we get to that. We realize that there's a question. We realize that there's an option. We realize that we've been told that that's scary and it's terrible and it's awful and you shouldn't go there. And if a lot of things have been inverted, well, then maybe that's actually where some answers are. If I'm doing shadow work because I need to look at where I've been told or where I've convinced myself it's dangerous to look, okay, and I am a wholesome, wonderful, generally positive person. Everyone that has met me has said, oh, yeah, you're love and light. That makes me feel so good. Do you think that I would roll around where it's dark and spooky and awful? No. I have set my intention from the beginning with my exploration with tarot that my questions go in a certain direction. They are for the improvement of not just myself, but those around me. And that I intend to share that improvement because that's why I use the tool to make my life better. If this involves people that have passed over, that's where this is going to go. It automatically goes that way for me. Why? Because I have done the work. I have put in the commitment, right? I just didn't dive in with a previous judgment and a structure of previous beliefs that limited me so that I could only go down a dark path or I could only go down confusion. Or I could only go down, well, this doesn't seem to be doing anything for me. My intention that I set forth and my willingness to allow some of what I thought was keeping me safe to slip a little, okay? So that I could reevaluate where I had put judgment on some of these beliefs. And then I put the work in. And I did the solid foundation. And yes, guess what? Things continue to fall from time to time. I'll be honest with you. It's not like I never have tower moments. But even in the moments where I was like, I'll read tarot, but I don't want the universe to bring me anyone with a real problem. Guess what? But that's where my strength is because I know what to do. That's my gift. Why would you avoid your gift? Like I'm a master painter, but people keep expecting me to paint these beautiful masterpieces. Well, yeah, of course. I'm a great musician. People keep expecting me to play music. Well, yeah, of course. That's exactly it. So if you are someone in a place that has questions about loved ones, the very first part of it is just relax. They're really not away from you. The universe is this big, vast soup, and because we're physical, we think in terms of distance. So we immediately go, oh, they're far away. That's not the case at all. And how do I tune into more of that energy? How do I get closer to that loved one? I reside in that place where they are, love. And that energy of the youthful, innocent child, because that's where they're resonating. And when you're there with them, that communication can take place. And what does it feel like? Oh, you'll feel that love. It doesn't have to be, and then they appeared in front of me. And again, it was the treasures in the barn. Like, come on now. We're really starting to feel our way on this. And maybe some of you have a gift and you get that. Yay. But goodness sakes. And in my case, it became a lot of love and just a lot of understanding that my support is always there and that it's much bigger than what I can imagine. And that I can tune into it anytime. And when I feel like I'm far away, it's because I placed myself far away, not because they are judging me from where they are. Because that's not even, it's not even possible from there. It's not even possible from there, right? It's just like watching a good game. We think, they're all being armchair quarterbacks. Nope. They're just excited that you're playing. Like, that's really it. They're just excited that you're playing. Oh, this is great. Well, thank you so much, Tiny Tarot, for this message. There's a little laughing. There's a little crying. It's just like with life. There was the whole thing in this one. I appreciate it so much. And Earl, thank you for being here. I want to remind all of you, once again, to please like, share, subscribe. The podcast is doing great thanks to you, the listener, and I appreciate you so much. And again, if you would like a personalized read, reach out to me on Facebook. Thank you so much. I am Low Key Magical with a K. You have a magical rest of your day.